The hospital doors burst open violently. A grease-stained mechanic carried an unconscious girl in his arms, shouting for help. But what he didn't know was that saving that child was going to destroy everything in his life. The next day, 5 black cars surrounded his house. What happened after that? You won't believe it. This story will break your heart. Don't leave the video because the ending will leave you speechless. Rafael Santos was a simple man, hands calloused with grease, back aching from bending over the hoods of old cars, but his heart still beat strong, strong for the only thing that mattered in this cruel world. Isabella, his 8-year-old daughter, since Mariana, his wife, had been taken from him in that damned accident on Marginal Tietê 3 years earlier. Rafael lived on autopilot. Wake up, work, go home, hug his daughter, repeat until his body could take no more. But on that November Friday, everything was about to collapse. The sun burned São Paulo, as it always did, merciless, throwing its rays over the auto shop in Peña, where Rafael worked 12 hours a day. And Isabella had woken up early, drawn a crooked heart on her father's lunch container with a red marker, and given him that smile that made every sacrifice worth it. The same brown eyes as her mother, the same light that even tragedy couldn't completely extinguish. "Dad, today you promise you'll pick me up early?" she asked, swinging her little legs on the kitchen chair. "I promise, Princess. We're going to Independence Park to eat popcorn." Isabella clapped her hands. Rafael kissed her forehead and ran so he wouldn't miss the bus. He left the girl with Dona Clede, the downstairs neighbor who watched her every afternoon. A good woman, huge heart, never asked for anything except a packet of coffee once in a while. Everything seemed normal, but destiny has a cruel way of flipping your life upside down when you least expect it. It was 3:30 p.m. when Rafael's cell phone vibrated in the pocket of his oil-stained pants. He was in the middle of a job, tightening bolts on a suspension, when the phone wouldn't stop ringing. Once, twice, 3 times. His heart started beating differently. "Hello, is this Mr. Rafael?" Dona Clede's desperate voice cracked through the line. Isabella fainted out of nowhere. "I already called the ambulance. They're taking her to the municipal hospital." The world stopped, literally stopped. The noise of the shop vanished. The smell of oil vanished. The only thing Rafael could hear was the blood pounding in his ears like a war drum. The pliers slipped from his hand and hit the floor with a metallic crash that echoed through the shop. Rafael didn't think, didn't reason. He just moved. Feet hitting the floor, body on autopilot, running toward the door. "Hey, where do you think you're going?" Rogerio's deep voice exploded behind him like thunder. Rogerio was a big, heavy man with a gray mustache that looked like an old mop, sweat running down his forehead, shirt clinging to the folds of his beer belly. He held a wrench as if it were a scepter. "My daughter's in the hospital," Rafael shouted without stopping. "So what? There's a car to deliver today. The client is coming in an hour." "I don't care about your client. If you walk out that door right now, you're fired. Do you hear me?" Rafael stopped for just a second at the door, only 1 second, looked back, and saw Rogerio red with anger, with that face that thinks the world revolves around him. But Rafael had already lost his wife. He wasn't going to lose his daughter. "Then fire me," he said, and ran. The wind hit his face as he jumped on his old, barely functioning motorcycle, the Brow 125 he had bought used 5 years ago, dented all over but still holding on. Rafael accelerated like a madman, cutting through the heavy traffic of Radial Leste, weaving between cars, risking his own life. But none of that mattered. Only Isabella mattered. What Rafael didn't know was that this decision, this single decision to save his daughter, was going to change everything in his life, and not just because of the firing. Something was waiting for him in that hospital, something that was about to turn his whole world upside down, something he couldn't imagine even in 1,000,000 years. And you need to know what it is. If you're enjoying this story, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any chapter. Thank you very much for watching so far, but don't leave now. In the next chapter, Rafael will discover something about Isabella that will freeze his blood. What he will find in that hospital will change everything. Rafael stormed through the automatic doors of São Lucas Municipal Hospital like a hurricane. The cold white hallway seemed endless. His footsteps pounded against the floor, echoing his desperation. He saw Isabella on a stretcher, pale, eyes closed, her chest rising and falling far too slowly. "Isabella!" he yelled, his voice tearing his throat. The nurses tried to hold him back, but Raphael was pure adrenaline. He grabbed his daughter's hand, feeling her skin cold as ice. "Sir, please let us work," a young doctor said, pushing the stretcher toward the emergency corridor. Raphael stood there trembling, hands filthy with grease, heart shattered. He collapsed onto a hard plastic chair and buried his face in his hands. Then he saw something shining on the floor. The medallion, the golden medallion Isabella had found in the park last week and hadn't let go of since. Raphael picked it up, surprised by its weight, opened it, and froze. Inside was a picture of an unknown woman and a baby with a face identical to Isabella's when she was little. "What the hell is this?" he whispered, feeling a shiver climb his spine. At that moment, the doctor returned. "Mr. Santos, your daughter is stable, but her oxygen levels dropped a lot. We need urgent tests." Raphael couldn't even speak. He could only stare at that photo. Who was that woman? Why did the baby look exactly like Isabella? And why did that medallion seem to hide a terrible secret? Something was very wrong, and Raphael was about to discover a truth that would destroy everything he thought he knew. Hours dragged on like centuries. Raphael sat next to Isabella's bed in the pediatric room, holding her cold little hand. The machines beeped softly, a cruel reminder of how everything can end in the blink of an eye. He couldn't stop staring at the medallion, that photo, that baby. Who were they? Suddenly someone knocked on the door. Raphael looked up. A woman walked in slowly, tall, elegant, but with eyes marked by deep sadness. She wore a black blazer and held her purse tightly, as if she needed something to hold herself together. "Excuse me," she said, voice trembling. "I heard a girl was brought here wearing a golden medallion. May I see her?" Raphael tensed. Who are you?" "My name is Helena Tavares," she said, taking a deep breath as her eyes filled with tears. "That medallion belonged to my daughter." Raphael's heart raced. "Your daughter?" "She died 4 years ago. Accident on Rodovia dos Bandeirantes." Helena's voice cracked. "That medallion was buried with her. I don't understand how your daughter has it." Raphael felt the world spin. "That's impossible." Helena approached the bed and looked at Isabella. She covered her mouth, tears falling uncontrollably. "She looks so much like my Sophia," she whispered. Raphael swallowed hard. Something very strange was happening, and the truth. The truth was going to be more terrifying than any of them could imagine. The silence in the room was suffocating. Helena couldn't take her eyes off Isabella. Every feature of the girl's face looked like a mirror of the past, a living reminder of Sophia. Raphael was frozen, trying to understand how this was possible. A medallion buried 4 years ago, a child who should never have found it, and now a stranger crying beside his daughter's bed, as if she had known Isabella forever. May I sit?" Helena asked weakly. Raphael nodded, still suspicious. Helena sat down slowly, and with a gentle, almost maternal touch, brushed Isabella's hair away from her face. "My Sophia always wanted to be a doctor," she said with a tearful smile. "She said she would save children, that she would do good." She paused, breathing deeply. Maybe she still is." Raphael felt a knot in his throat. "She's all I have left. I can't lose her." Helena squeezed his hand. "You won't." At that moment, the door burst open. The doctor entered with an expression so serious it made Raphael's blood freeze. "Mr. Santos, we need to talk." Raphael jumped to his feet. "What is it? Is she okay?" The doctor looked at him, then at Helena. "The tests revealed something concerning. Isabella was exposed to toxic mold, probably from the pipes or basement of the building you live in." Raphael felt the ground disappear beneath him. The apartment, that old, damp, leaky place, the only one he could afford on his miserable mechanic's salary. Guilt exploded in his chest like a bomb. "I didn't know. We can treat her, but she will need to stay hospitalized for a few days, and when she is discharged, you cannot return there." Raphael covered his face. No job, no money, no home now. How was he going to protect his daughter? How was he going to give her a future? Then Helena stood up. "Doctor, make sure she receives the best treatment. I will cover all the expenses." Raphael's eyes widened. "No, ma'am, you don't have to." "I want to," Helena interrupted firmly. "For my Sophia. She would want this." Raphael finally cried, but something still didn't make sense. Why was this woman doing all this? Who was Helena Tavares really? And what else was she hiding? The answer would come the next day when 5 black cars surrounded Raphael's house and everything changed forever. 1 week later, Isabella was discharged. Raphael was broken inside. No job, no money, no home. The apartment had been condemned by sanitary inspection. That Saturday morning, Raphael woke on Donaclade's couch. Then he heard the noise. Powerful engines, several of them. He ran to the window and froze. 5 black cars were parked on the street. Imported SUVs, gleaming. Men in suits stepped out. Raphael felt his heart race. He ran downstairs in a panic, but when he reached the street, he saw Helena stepping out of one of the cars. She wore an elegant suit, dark sunglasses, a commanding posture. "Helena, what is this?" She removed her glasses. "Raphael, I am the CEO of Tavares Incorporated. My company is worth $800 million. Raphael was speechless. "You were fired for saving your daughter. That is character. That is the kind of man I want." She extended an envelope. Maintenance supervisor, $15,000 a month, health insurance, and a new apartment in Villa Mariana. Raphael cried. "Why?" Helena smiled. "Because that medallion wasn't a coincidence. Sophia sent you to me." Raphael hugged Helena tightly. Isabella ran to them. "Aunt Helena, I dreamed about Sophia. She said you can smile again." Helena hugged the girl, crying. Her frozen heart finally started to beat again. Miracles don't have wings. They come through people who choose kindness. If this story touched you, leave a like and make sure you're subscribed to the channel.